Hey, it's me again, Priest. This time I have a few questions. First one is pornography addictive? Also, do women watch pornography? Another one, do Christians consume pornography? And does pornography? Also, another question, last but not least, do pastors consume pornography? And can they be addicted to it as well? So can anyone be addicted to pornography is the question. I'm just going to run some numbers here. Really quick, some stats. One source says 69% of men versus 40% of women have viewed porn at least once a month. So that is yes to one of the questions. Yes to women who have looked at porn. 40% is quite a significant number of women. We're talking about 4 out of 10-ish, maybe. I don't know. You do the numbers. Okay, now for a lifetime of viewing, the numbers are different. The question was posed to them, have you ever viewed porn? Ever. Now, this would not be on a regular basis. The data shows that 80% of men versus 55% of women have looked at porn at some point in time in their lifetime. Yes, it is more likely for a man to view porn, but women are held captive to this bondage of pornographic sin also. The Bible says in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 28, Jesus is speaking this in the Bible. Jesus said, I say unto you that whosoever looks on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery already in his heart. Of course, we have clearly seen this apply to women as well. So the women looking at the man looking at the women. It goes both ways. Now, concerning people in the church and Christians, 75% of men and 40% of Christian women have viewed it at some point. From these numbers, it shows that 64% of the men and 15% of the women view porn at least once a month. These are definitely some things that make you say, hmm, or But I won't say the second one because the thing is, we're talking about addictions and habits and things that in the beginning are controllable. And then once they get out of control, it's a different story. So how much pornography must I consume before it is addictive? Okay, the Bible also says in the book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 32, who knows the judgment of God that those who commit such things are worthy of death, not only to do the same, but to have pleasure in them that do them. The pornography comes from a word in the Bible called porneia. If you want to look this up, it's spelled Porneia. This is a Greek word. This is defined as illicit sexual activity, any kind of sexual immorality, fornication, homosexuality, bestiality, deception, and fraud. I must add that children are not excluded from exposure to this bondage. The exposure of this demonic influence of pornography begins at 8 years old. This is shameful entertainment to the 10th power. Men, women, and even children must decide to abandon this type of so-called entertainment. Porn pornography can negatively impact your life and can have negative effects on your sex life. It can have negative effects on your mental health and the health of society. Now, I will in fact, through facts and by facts, prove some of these theories and evidence throughout this series. This is going to be a long series. I've done a lot of research and I have pages of stuff to share. This is going to be a long series. I've done extensive research and it would be too overwhelming to process and retain in one session, one episode. This topic of pornography and masturbation is very meaningful to learn about and to conquer this pink elephant in the room. Those of you that knows what that means, if you don't, look it up. The pink elephant in the room is stuff we don't want to talk about because we're doing it. We don't want to be hypocritical, but whatever reason, we're going to talk about this pink elephant. We are going to talk about it. So people who consume porn are more likely to experience divorce or breaking up relationships. The cause of this is definitely from the negative impact that results from the consumption of this sin. Hear this and know that pornography can and most likely will become a habit forming and addictive. If you have not found this out already, be aware of this fact. You will also find that it is very hard to quit and very difficult to quit when you are consuming too much. If you don't already know this, now you know. This type of addiction falls into the category of behavioral addictions. I discussed this in my first episode, this topic of behavioral addictions, neurotransmitters, and dopamine concepts. This is in my first episode titled Addiction to Subtraction. Check it out. Check that episode out. Studies have shown that compulsive pornography use, substance abuse, and addictions are very similar. Like any type of addiction, the amount of dopamine that the brain needs to satisfy itself is very low at first. But as in any addiction, the tolerance builds up, like with drug addiction, the brain craves more and more, demanding higher doses of the consumption and or viewing thereof. The use of porn grows and escalates from what was easy or called soft porn, even magazines or scrolling through social media to illicit social media images now becomes more potent and hardcore. Now, the craving and demand for more serious and hardcore content and material is being needed. One clue and or sign of this is that the free sites just ain't doing it no more. They don't seem to be doing it for you anymore. Yes, you could be spending a lot of money now on the more graphic sites and the sex cam sites. These sites charge quite a bit of money. And once you get to that stage, it has passed the habit forming stage into the addictive stage. And these sites can be as costly as a month's wages for people to consume and watch. If you don't think that's an addiction, seek some counseling, some professional help. Now, there's some more signs of addiction. These are when you become irritable, when you're not watching pornography for some time, when you haven't watched it for a period of time and you become irritable, kind of like when you don't have coffee and something like that. You may even get cravings to watch at the craziest times. The craziest times. making excuses to leave, locking yourself in the bathroom or private rooms to view and watch porn, just to feed the craving to watch and not always to act on it. We're going to talk about the actions later on down the road, the actions of masturbating. So, like I said, this is going to be an extended series. We'll get to that part a little bit later. This is a bad habit or addiction. This consuming pornography, this addiction to have to be dealing with, it may be very hard and or difficult to quit or stop completely. This is a mean demon. A mean demon, this pornography, this bondage, I should say. But the good news is, hopefully, I can help you to overcome this demon and to be delivered from this, to have full recovery and freedom. When you view for the first time, when people view for the first time, the viewer experiences a euphoric reaction, which is basically a high or a rush, which makes you more likely to view it again and again. There are eternal stimulants that are running through your body and your bloodstream, known as chemical substances. So this thing is very much like drug abuse and addiction to drugs. Research has found that porn consumers are more likely to sexually dehumanize others and are more likely to show intent of rape and are not likely to help someone during a sexual assault, and may be the ones to blame the victims. They're going to blame the one that's getting raped and or assaulted and say they provoked it some kind of way. They are more likely to be the ones who could be likely to commit sexual violence against women. So, porn can ignite violence and abuse. Reason being that it glorifies violence, sexual violence, and pornography. Sexual violence and pornography may also influence the viewer's actions and behaviors, can normalize abuse, making sexual aggression desirable and normal. Porn also perpetrates toxic stereotypes and racism. It will fetish sexual orientation, gender identity. It uses degrading terms to refer to the people of other races. You will see many racist titles that are offensive, racial slurs, and stereotypes about Black women. Most of these low-budget films portray Black women as prostitutes, ebony sex workers, Black girls working on the streets, etc. Also using slurs and offensive terms like sluts, whores, cum dumpsters, ghetto freaks, and so on. This industry sexualizes with the combination of sexism, racism, and classism. The Black women are shown in oppressed neighborhoods, alleyways, condemned buildings, etc., leaving the Black women sexualized and dehumanized in different ways than other people of color or other ethnic groups. Scientifically, pornography can change the brain of the consumer through neuroplasticity. This is the brain's ability to recognize and form new neural connections throughout life in response to experiences, learning, and injury. This process allows the brain to change its structure and enables it to develop new skills, adapt to new situations, and recover from damage. So, our brains always change to molecular structure. As I mentioned earlier, this topic was addressed in my first episode, where the dopamine process is when we have pleasurable activity and it involves repetition and intense focus, where our brain changes itself. Basically, we're talking about tolerance, that thing. We're talking about pornography. So it'd be more pleasure, more activity, more repetition as the more we do it. So when we do that thing the next time, a little like the concept of muscle memory when you're working out. It's the same as that. Your brain does that thing through neuroplasticity. Pornography can change what we see as normal and fictionalize the thing we see as exciting, making real intimacy less desirable. Pornography harms sexual performance and makes people more sexually illiterate. It will lead to having less sex and to less satisfying sex. Compulsive pornography consumption is associated with sexual dysfunction for both men and women, problems with arousal and performance, and decreased satisfaction. Lastly, the industry sells the lie that this fake world of porn is filled with sexual positivity. More sex, better sex, sexual education, sex education, and so on. It is only promoting sexual expectations in unhealthy ways. 1 out of 4 young people one out of 4 young people assume that porn is a helpful way to learn about sex. Porn can create mental health issues. There is a link between pornography and depression, loneliness, low self-esteem, and other mental health problems. The connection through porn, especially when porn is used as a resource to relieve oneself from negative emotions or to cope when it becomes compulsive. This is one of the most largest and profitable industries. They will not remove non-consensual content, material, or episodes upon request, even one that may contain child exploitation, abuse, or the use of minors. Porn ignites sex trafficking. There are connections of sex trafficking and the production of pornography. When commercial sex is induced by force, coercion, or exploitation, and even fraud, and when the actresses performing are underage, minors who are not yet 18 years of age, again, when the person performing in the video, male or female, is not 18 years old yet, it could be tied to trafficking. But how are we going to prove that? You can't. Manipulation is widely used in this industry. Some are even threatened with physical abuse and even death. They're threatened to perform these acts on these films and videos, and there is no way to know if they are consenting or being forced into this labor. Forced labor is against the law and is illegal. So is child labor. Now, let's look at why women watch pornography. So, why do women consume pornography? Women watch porn for a variety of reasons, including curiosity about sexuality, seeking sexual arousal and satisfaction, and as a tool for self-exploration or empowerment. It can also be a coping mechanism for emotional issues like loneliness, anxiety, low self-esteem, or dissatisfaction in a relationship, or a way to find distraction from stress. For some, it's a form of escapism or a way to explore fantasies in a safe, private space. Porn is no longer just a man's problem. 35% of online pornography consumers are now women. And as for their exploration and self-awareness, just to recap, this helps women better understand their own sexuality, desires, and what turns them on, and to feel empowered by a safe place to explore their sexuality without pressure. As for their sexual arousal and gratification, women want to achieve sexual arousal or orgasm to satisfy libido, especially when they are alone, and to enhance sexual experience, either alone or with a partner. Emotional and mental coping, women think that this will help them to cope with loneliness, anxiety, or low self-esteem, and to find an escape from daily stress, or to self-medicate negative feelings. As for the dynamics of relationships, women, by watching porn, seek to increase sexual satisfaction or desire within a relationship, to explore fantasies in a way that can be a source of conversational connection with the partner, and to short circuit arousal when a partner's actions aren't sufficient, which can become a problematic habit. Lastly, women's curiosity and sexual education. Early or a lack of sex education can lead to curiosity that drives them to seek information through pornography. The bad part about these things is that watching porn can reinforce feelings of inadequacy or frustration, especially if used to cope with a relational dissatisfaction. It can also be associated with unrealistic expectations about sex. Women get attracted to porn in way different ways than men. One is they are attracted to the idea of being wanted. They see themselves as the woman being viewed. They put their self in the part, like they're playing the part, and also start to like the idea of seeing naked women in this process of watching porn, because they want to be that person, and are more attracted to the woman than to the men in these videos being viewed. She may even think this is helping her sex life. So I must tell you about pornography and girls. Girls are not immune to the enticement of pornography. And it is not just a boy problem as well. Girls and boys we're talking about now, not men and women, not just boys looking at it. Girls. According to one stat, 36% of their worldwide viewers were female, and has increased 51% since 2014. They have also found in their surveys of girls, first-time exposure to pornography. Remember this. Girls. Remember this about girls. Girls 7 years old and younger. 11% view this. Now hear me clearly. Girls 8 to 12 years old. 46% of them. I'm not making these numbers up. Google it, search it, check for yourself. Girls 13 to 17 years old. 29% of them. 18 years and older, 12%. This means that 58% of girls, not women, 58% of girls have watched porn by the time they are 12 years old. And this is a serious problem concerning this culture we live in. Even worse than that, the numbers show that by the time the girl is 17 years of age, 77% of them have already viewed pornography. Wow. Wow. This is beyond problematic. There is no significance between gender when it comes to the average age of first-time viewers of children, which is 13 years old. That is the average age of the first time someone has viewed pornography. Women, 54% of them have admitted to regularly viewing pornography from the ages of 8 years old through 17 years old. Wow. Okay, I can go on, but I don't want you to lose concentration, and I do want you to retain what I'm saying. So I did tell you that there will be a lot to process here. So this is the end of part one. This is the end of part one. Stay tuned to the coming episode of, this is Exodus, but we're talking about pornography. The coming episode on pornography, that will be part two. And part two, it's not just pornography, it's pornography and masturbation addictions. I will still cover more negative impacts, women in the church, and even pastors, because we Christians are humans too. So this is Exodus, like the book of Exodus, Exodus to exit us as we exit our flesh and enter into the spirit realm. Hopefully this series will change your whole perception on pornography the next time you want to click onto one of those sites. God bless you. Praying for you. Hope you tune into the next one. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Love you. Peace out.